to try to cut billions of dollars out of a health budget right now. And I invite the NDP leader to tell me where. What would he do? Would he not build the schools that we need?
The news is non-stop. Welcome back to Moose on Loose. My name's David. Today we've got the brother of the Tumbler Ridge monster has been arrested because he has the same sort of background as, well, the monster himself. We've got polling data coming out of the by-election in Quebec with some shocking results. We got a bunch of stuff. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we got Andy Lee posting this. What's that? It's a quarter of a watermelon for $18.28. Welcome to Canada. People keep voting for this stuff. I don't know why, but they're voting for this. If you want a bit of a cheaper option, this one is $17.89. Moving ahead, we've got Conservative Chris Workington posting this. The vote results for the opposition motion automotive strategy. The House calls on the government to fix their auto strategy by scrapping subsidies for foreign-made electric vehicles. They're not going to do this, obviously, but they should be doing this, removing GST on Canadian-made vehicles. This is just common sense. Using their existing authority to reduce the amount of tax withheld on severance payments issued to workers at the GM Cami facility. And, well, of course, the Liberals voted against this because they don't actually care about Canadians. We've got this one here. I can't even really read this out. We've got 4 bad guys are charged for trafficking young ones as young as 11. Got a full rundown of these guys. Mohammed, Omar, Mustafa, Abdo, Yusuf Al-Garubi. This one doesn't have a name. These guys are all from South Asia. Close the border. Time for deportations. Moving ahead, we've got polling data. Let's get into this here. So first off, we got Nano's data with this. 41% Liberals, 33% Conservative, 33.7. We're seeing the Conservatives dropping here almost 3% and the Liberals up 3%. It's almost a direct trade there. Now, what's causing this? It's Donald Trump. Trump coming out, more tariffs, stirring the pot, Gordie Howe Bridge, all this stuff. At this point, for the Conservatives to stop the swing in voting intention, will take something big. You can't just play it easy. They have to come up with some big swings here. Big policy changes, big announcements. Announce that if they get elected into government, they'll be slashing taxes or fixed tax rates. I've seen all sorts of ideas. Capping tax off at 25%, 20%. Dare I even say 15%? I don't know if they do that because there's such a huge deficit. It needs to be paid down now with money because, well, Carney is running us into the ground. First 5 years being the economic advisor to Trudeau, and now he's bankrupting us himself. It has to be something big to get people to snap out of the derangement here coming from Trump. 41% of the population wants to vote for pure evil. The politicians could be sticking forks in their eyes and they'd still vote for it. Yeah, that's the sad truth. Moving ahead, we've got a by-election in Quebec. This is interesting. So this is in the Chicoutimi riding. Now, before we get to the results, what we're looking at here is predictions, and this is coming from Great Canadian Bagel. It says the Léger poll is certainly wrong. So this is what Léger had predicted the outcome would be. So the top one here is the PQ, the Separatist Party. The Liberals in second place at 26%. Legault's party, which is absolutely tanking at 17%. The Conservative Party at 14%. And then the orange one here, I'm assuming this is the NDP party, 7%. Now, if we look at Shreya, he modeled out a prediction. He projected the PQ would be 43%, up 29. The Conservatives at 19% in second. Comparing that to Léger, they have them down here at 14 in fourth place. The CAQ at 16 and the Liberals at 12. And what were the results? Well, check this out. We got Shreya posting this. The Conservative Party has really outperformed expectations, while the CAQ, yeah, they crashed and burned. So we'll look at the actual website here. This is a little bit more up to date. And what do we see? 45% for the PQ party. Now, going back to this, they predicted 32%. Léger said 26% for the Liberals is number 2. Conservative Party at 26%, followed by the CAQ at 12 and the Liberals at 9. To just compare this to this, they protected the Liberals at 26, in reality 9%. And you can see the pie graph down here. The PQ that won is this one, then you've got the Conservative Party is purple. Now, what does this mean federally? The leader of the Conservative Party had been working that riding for a long time, I think since 2018, has got to know the community, built up a lot of trust over time. The provincial politics don't always translate into federal politics, but people do see Conservative on the ballot, which does at some point translate over to federal as well. We do know some people vote Liberal for federal, but then they'll vote for Doug Ford, PC Doug Ford. So it doesn't always completely translate, but I mean, this is a big blowout here considering they were projected at 14 and they got 26. It's a swing of 12%, which is huge. Trey Teese with a good job here, and he didn't even get it. 19 is what he had them at. So it'll be interesting going forward once we get some federal by-elections. This will give us a real sense of where people really are because, well, we have these polls coming out, the timing of them, the swings of them with Poilievre's leadership review seems very suspicious. We need a real by-election just to see what people are voting.
6 députés du Parti québécois qui viennent d'apprendre de votre bouche
So this is the Separatist Party that won. This sentiment is just absolutely exploding because, well, Carney's destroying our country.
Une septième collègue
There was a clip I was going to show the other day. I forgot to show it, but there's a lineup in Arizona to sign Alberta separation petition. It's outrageous. In Arizona. Moving ahead, we've got the brother of the Tumbler Ridge monster who was arrested on a Canada-wide warrant. That's right. We got this from the woke CP24. Older brother of the Tumbler Ridge monster has been arrested. Please tell the news here that Jacob Van Roetseler was wanted on Canada-wide warrant for attempted M-word, bad times, ending people. Wood Buffalo RCMP said the 22-year-old was wanted in connection with an incident allegedly involving an edged weapon in 2024 in Fort McMurray. Staff Sergeant Sabrina Clayton said Van Roetseler was arrested on Friday in Sylvan Lake. After Van Roetseler was charged, he was released from custody. He was originally approved to be living in Dawson Creek, BC, but that was later changed to Tumbler Ridge, according to the police. Clayton said in early February that he was not at the approved residence when police checked on him. The Canada-wide warrant was then issued. Now listen to this. It says the news here asked Clayton if the police check was performed on February 10th or shortly afterwards. However, she was not aware of those details. Clayton said Jacob is the older brother of Jesse Van Roetseler, the Tumbler Ridge monster, who ended 8 younglings on February 10th, including her mother and 11-year-old sibling in a mass pew-pew event. That's right, her mother. Enough of this woke garbage. Jesse Van Roetseler was a male. He wasn't a female. Enough of this. We got Brittany sharing this. We've got police records for Jacob Van Roetseler, because that's always fun. So you can see October 25th, 2025 and November 5th, 2025. Breach of order, breach of order. And we've got one more here showing birth date. This is quite the family that mother raised, isn't it, huh? Not one, but 2 monsters. And we've got Kel sharing this. We've got a bit more details. It says at the time of the arrest, officers say he was carrying brass knuckles and now faces additional weapons charges and multiple breaches of prior conditions. What a great family here. Moving ahead, we've got conservative asking the questions I would ask in committee of the Mark Carney Liberals. And what's she asking here? She's asking about Doug Guzman's conflicts of interest. Just listen to this. She absolutely nails the guy.
Thank you. So given that you are a former colleague and I'm assuming a friend of the Prime Minister, it's really important that Canadians know and can be assured that a friendship won't be used to potentially subvert our ethics requirements. Are you currently subject to any conflict of interest screens similar to those that the Prime Minister is subject to?
I expect to be subject to a conflict of interest screen. Yes, I'm just working it through with the ethics folks.
Okay. So your report has still not been published from the Ethics Commissioner, yet you have been, I'm assuming, making decisions as the CEO of the Defence Investment Agency already?
As I said, I'm ahead of the process in terms of the deadlines, fully disclosed everything. The blind trust that I've been asked to set up is being set up as we speak.
You hear that? Blind trust is being set up because this guy's probably heavily invested in all the same crap that Mark Carney's invested in. Brookfield, AI, green energy, all of it. These guys are all the same. That's why I put this as one of his A-team members. I could sniff this guy out the second his name was announced. I saw he was ex-Goldman Sachs. I knew right away. These guys probably made a pact back in the day. They'd come back together and roll out a big grift. She also noticed too, she mentioned him being friends with Mark Carney. He didn't deny that. So I'm going to infer that these guys are indeed friends. Definitely colleagues for a long time.
The accounts are being moved into them.
But while that is happening, while that is happening, you have been making
my
decisions.
Job responsibilities, and I've been complying with the ethics process as it's laid out.
What a complete joke. This guy's making upwards of $1 million a year. He's making decisions, and he hasn't gone through with his conflicts of interest, his blind trust, all this stuff. Like, come on. He's going to put his assets in a blind trust. I don't know what's in there. I just put it in, but I have no idea. This is all a joke. Sell your assets if you want to make $1 million a year working for the government. Like, give me a break. This is pathetic. Well, the boldness and avant-garde attitude to procedure is really out there. It figures Liberals are a law unto themselves. Mark Carney is all sleazy backroom deals with opacity and tone deafness only terrible temporary workers like Carney could do. Of course, that's expected from Slimeball Carney Clown Show. Next up, we got Danielle Smith absolutely destroying Naheed Nenshi, NDP leader in Alberta. This is a beautiful thing.
To try to cut billions of dollars out of a health budget right now, and I invite the NDP leader to tell me where. Would he not announce this today? Would he not?
So what she's talking about is they're going to have to go into a deficit to pay for doctors' healthcare costs.
Would he not announce this today? Would he not hire doctors? Would he close down practices? Would he blow up hospitals or education? What would he do? Would he not build the schools that we need? Would he not have unrolled the complexity teams that we did so that we can deal with complexity in the classroom? Would he not? Well, we know he wouldn't fix water pipelines. We already saw that demonstrated. He had 11 years to do it and chose not to. Would he not build the Green Line LRT? Well, I guess we know that he didn't have a plan for that either, because it ended up being 5 times what he put on the back of an envelope. So we're making investments in the things that we know Albertans need and want, knowing that this situation we find ourselves in is temporary and that we can weather the storm. But we have to be honest with Albertans about where we find ourselves.
The NDP should shut their mouth about budgets and taxes. There's no political party that can ruin a province like the NDP. Notley was ridiculously inept premier, way in over her head, as was her cabinet. It's a joke that they think they have the answers because they don't. She is smart, fast on her feet, and 100% correct. Needy Nenshi is a has-been leader of a has-been party. Jumping ahead, we've got Heather McPherson humiliating herself to millions of people. So she's put out this post here on X, and well, this is one she can't get back. So she posted, many Canadians, especially members of the 2S LGBTQIA+ community, are in Puerto Vallarta, where violence has quickly escalated. A shelter-in-place order is in effect. Please stay vigilant and consult the Government of Canada travel advisories for Mexico. This is ridiculous. Anyone who's seeking leadership, which she is doing right now for the NDP party, should be advocating for the safety of all Canadians, not just the 2LGBT blah blah blah. As I posted in my reply here, statements like this are the reason you'll never lead Canada. Why are you even running for leadership if you only wanted to lead the alphabet crew? And then I go on to point out here that my own mother is down there right now, and I checked on her yesterday, and she's safe and she's away from that area, but she's not a part of the alphabet crew. Thus, she, for example, wouldn't be a part of the concerns of Heather McPherson. So you can see she got horribly ratioed. This is probably one of the worst ones I've ever seen. 2.2 million views. She has 430 hearts on this. She put this out 24 hours ago. In comparison, I just put up this reply 3 hours ago. I have 439 hearts on mine with only 4,400 views. This is beyond embarrassing here. We have practically every creator commenting on this here. I trust the cartel has taken appropriate DEI training to respond appropriately. WTF is wrong with you? Canadians are scared and under threat while you post about orientation. You people in the NDP are complete nut jobs. Yeah, it's pretty scary. You see what's going on there. They have trucks, like big box trucks, and then they open the back door and then there's like a sliding cannon on the back that they just take out other vehicles with. They're commandeering different areas. They're just going to random gas stations and burning them up and burning people's cars, and it's just wild. Meanwhile, Donald Trump did offer to come help deal with that situation, and of course, socialist Claudia Sheinbaum declined that offer, probably because she's in bed with the cartels. Next up, I want to show you an Australian here absolutely destroying their local media. This is like the equivalent of him ripping the CBC a new one. This is unbelievable. Just going off about immigration. And what's wild about this is a 2-minute clip. He gets heckled by about 4 or 5 people on the street walking by, and he just tears all of them a new one, including the reporter here.
The taxpayer has to constantly fund Victoria Police taking me to courts or just more nonsense, offensive behaviour charges.
Is it nonsense though? Because the taxpayer wasn't happy with what they saw at that rally.
Well, you don't speak for the taxpayer. You're part of a corporate entity that is anti-Australia. So you don't actually speak for the Australian people. You're a nefarious agent of the mainstream media. So I think you'll find the average Australian does not want thousands or millions of illegal Indian immigrants staying in the country. And that's what we were protesting against. There were thousands of self-entitled, despicable people that think it's their right to be a part of our nation. And they were protesting outside Tony Burke's office, who, might I add, deported healthy, wholesome white families from this country. Shut up, you fat dork. Film this loser. Look at these freaks. You're a fat, disgusting dork. Shut the up. Anyway, Tony Burke. No, listen.
There's drama.
There is always drama, but it's not seeking attention to me. It's seeking attention to the issue. And the primary issue in Australia and the whole Western world is white replacement. That is the primary issue. That's the only thing we actually want to talk about. And you're looking at your phone, you're looking how to change the subject, because the media do not want to talk about this subject. They don't want to talk about white replacement. We want to reverse the process. We don't want Australia turning into a third world country. We don't want it turning into India. We don't want it turning into Sudan. We want it to remain Australian. That is the primary issue. And you always want to change the subject and attack the man. You don't want to play an important game. You want to attack the man. You don't want to attack the idea. You don't want to touch on white replacement. You want to touch on my personal behaviour.
Not guilty.
Not guilty?
Thank you, done.
Oh, yeah, you. You're scum. They don't want to talk about the big issues. What they want to talk about is, are you guilty or are you not guilty for this minutiae that doesn't matter? We protested foreign immigrants that are demanding demanding that they stay in the country. And we protested that. We said that you shut the up. We said that was self-entitled, that it was disrespectful, that it was anti-Australian. And we said an ancient Australian proverb.
Wow. So I'm guessing this guy was the leader of a protest that happened. I'm not exactly sure what's going on down there, but clearly a lot of people knew who this guy was when they walked past him. Is he wrong though? If you look what's happening down there, I mean, the culture is getting replaced and it's not people integrating into their culture, it's replacing the culture. There's a difference. Same thing in Canada here when we got people that come here and want to be Canadian versus just replacing our culture with their culture, replacing our religions. I mean, there's just a church, I didn't share this one, there's a church that was just burned down yesterday. This happens all the time. They're trying to replace our culture. So burn down the churches. That's the first thing to do. Isn't it interesting that this is happening in Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand? What do they all have in common? They all have a king. They're all part of the Commonwealth. Connect the dots. Yeah, and who's friends with the king? Do we have any guesses out there? Anyone? Not only does he know him, like they're good friends. Diana Fox Carney also knows them very well. They're all very tied in with the royal family. Moving ahead, I want to show you an example of how AI is being used at a coffee shop. This coffee shop uses AI to track productivity of baristas and of customers of how long they've been sitting there. This is unreal. So we can see, breaking it down, how many hours or minutes people have been sitting here. 1 hour and 15 minutes, 25, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. We see Alina with 10 cups served, Vika with 10 cups, and Anna with 20 cups. And you can see as she goes to serve another one up here, their number will go up to 11. So it's in fact tracking this. I wondered how much it tracks. Like, does it track if you're handing out sandwiches? Is it just coffee? So the coffee, that looks like a sandwich there. So it looks like it just does coffee. Maybe it's orders, they consider it cups. But you can see as she gives a cup here, this number will go up to 11. You can see this line here. It's tracking where each person is moving to and how long they're standing. So there's the cup. And then there it is, 11 cups. So AI is crazy. It's going to change things up completely.